that you are well, and I also hope that you had an amazing day. All right, so today for our grade 5 English lesson, we will be doing progressive verb tenses. All right, so we'll be doing progressive verb tenses. And before we do progressive verb tenses, we're going to log into www.aplusstudents.ca. You're going to log in with your username as well as your password. Alright, so once you've logged in with your username as well as your password, and then you are going to select the subject of language arts, which is English. Alright, and then we're going to grade 5. Alright, so for today's chapter, we are going to scroll down to progressive verb tenses. So we're going to click on progressive verb tenses, and then the lessons that we're going to be focusing on is to use the progressive verb tenses as well as to form the progressive verb tenses. All right. So we are first going into the lesson of use the progressive verb tenses, and then later on we're going to form the progressive verb tenses. So let's go into use the progressive verb tenses. All right. So for our lesson today on use of progressive verb tenses, it describes ongoing actions, right? So it describes ongoing action and it also tells us about something that is, right, which is in the present, was, which is in the past, and will be happening, right, which is basically in the future. So once again, progressive verb tenses, it describes ongoing action that is taking place, right? Whether it is in the present, whether it is in the past, or whether it is in the future. So it tells us about something that is, was, or will be happening. So the progressive tense, it tells us about something that is happening right now, right? So if something is telling us whatever that is happening right now, then it uses the helping verb, which is am or are, right? Which means that something is happening now, which is in the present tense, right? Pardon, which means that Julie is playing basketball right now, right? Which means that is gives us the indication that she is playing basketball right now. It is something that is happening now, which is in the present tense, right? And then we also have the past progressive tense, right, which happened in the past. And the past progressive tense, it tells us about something that was happening in the past, right? It was happening in the past. Remember, we said ongoing action, right? But in this case, ongoing action in the past. It was happening in the past, right? And when something happened or was happening in the past, it uses the helping verb, which is was or were, right? So we use the helping verb was or were, and was usually referring to a singular form or singular person, place or thing, right? And were when we are either talking about more than one person, place, or thing, right? So it then becomes a plural form, plural place, person, thing, right? So that is the past progressive tense, right? Which tells us about something that happened in the past tense, right? And we use the helping verb, which is was, to indicate mainly singular person, singular place, singular thing, or were, right? Which usually refers to either maybe a plural form, right? An example is Seth was talking to Mrs. Jones when the phone rang, right? Which means that Seth, singular, alone, right? And he was talking to Mrs. Jones. If we had to say Seth and John, then we had this would have changed. Then the helping verb would have changed, right? Then we would have said were. So instead of then saying Seth was, we would have said Seth and John were talking to Mrs. Jones, because now it means that more than one person is talking to Mrs. Jones, right? But in this case, singular, right? And we use the helping verb or the past progressive tense, which is was, the helping verb was, to tell us what tense it is. Then we also have the future progressive tense, right? And the future progressive tense, it tells us what is happening in the future, right? It tells us what is happening in the future, meaning that it must still happen, but ongoing action that will happen in the future, right? And when something will be happening in the future, we then use the helping verb will be, right, to indicate that it will happen in the past, or it will be happening in the past. So Karen will be visiting next June, right? So the word will be, the helping verb will be, it basically shows the tense, right? It basically tells us that that is the future progressive tense, right? And it shows the ongoing action within that sentence. So Karen will be visiting next June. All right. If we now look at our first activity, right? So if we look at our first activity, it says Jeanette, and there is a word missing, right? Because we either need to put it in the present progressive tense, past progressive tense, or in the future progressive tense. So we need to use the helping verb, because it says complete the sentence with the correct helping verb or the correct verbs, right? So Jeanette, and there we have blank, gathering firewood all morning, right? Tomorrow. So she will get some rest tonight. Just give me 1 second. All right. So now, especially if we look at the wording tomorrow, all morning tomorrow, right? So the word tomorrow, it already gives us the indication, right, that it will probably be in the future tense, right? So then if we were to then add the either the helping verb or we add the verb within that sentence, we will say will be, right? So if we reread that sentence, right, by adding the helping verb or the verb within that sentence, we will say, Jeanette will be gathering firewood all morning tomorrow. So she should get some rest tonight, right? So basically, this is showing ongoing action in the future, right? So it's happening now, right? But they're saying that tomorrow she will be getting firewood. It's already telling us what she will be doing tomorrow, right? But now she needs to get some rest, right? So which means that our answer is will be. So Janet will be gathering firewood all morning tomorrow, So she should get some rest tonight, right? So which means that we are using the progressive tense in the future. All right. If we look at the next one, the next sentence, the cows, right? So the cows, and then we need to find the correct word over here, either the correct verb or the helping verb, right? Then it says the cows grazing in the pasture as we drove by, right? The cows grazing in the pasture as we drove by, right? Which means that it is something that is happening right now, right? So something that they were doing as they drove by. So we can say that the cows were grazing. So they were, right? So they were. Because as they were driving past, which means that they have driven past, they've driven past already, the cows were grazing in the pasture as we drove by. So were, it shows the past tense. So it shows the past tense were. So the cows were grazing in the past pasture as we drove by, right? So it shows the past progressive tense. All right, so we need to complete the sentence with the correct verb or the verb or the helping verb, right? So during my art class later tonight, I, we need to find the correct one over here, working on a sketch for my first oil paint, right? So during my class later tonight, if we look at the word later tonight, right? Which means that later on it must still happen, right? Future progressive tense, right? It tells us something that will be happening in the future tense. So during my art class later tonight, then we can say, I will be, right? Because it's going to happen later tonight. So we can say, I will be working on a sketch for my first oil painting, right? So will be is the future progressive tense or the helping verb, right? That shows the future progressive tense within that sentence. So during my art class later tonight, I will be working on a sketch for my first oil painting, right? And that helping verb, it basically shows the future progressive tense, right? Which tells us something that is happening within the future, right? So tonight, later tonight, sorry. All right, let's go next. All right, so we did already the Jeanette gathering firewood. Let's go to the last one. We need to choose the correct tense over here. Progressive verb tense, right? So I chopping the carrots right now. Look at the word right now, right? Right now, is it showing us ongoing action in the present, ongoing action in the past, or ongoing action in the future? You know, so if something is happening right now, which means that it is telling us that something is happening in the present, right? So which means that we are either going to use um is, am, or are, right? Because that is the helping verbs that we must use within the present progressive tense, right? So, I, is it I is, I am, or I are? So we can say I am, right? So we're gonna put in am there where we see the carrot or the space. So I am chopping the carrots right now. So could you please peel the garlic? Right? So am is the helping verb, right, within the sentence, and the sentence shows the present progressive tense that tells us that something is happening right now. Ongoing actions that is happening right now. So am, I am chopping the carrots right now. So could you please peel the garlic? All right. So now let's go to our test. So we are now going to begin our test, right? And we're going to use the progressive verb tenses, right? So we need to complete the sentence with the correct helping verb. All right, so the words is given, right, which is either was or is, and we need to choose the correct helping verb in order to complete the sentence. So Seth, sorry, Seth was or is paying for the ticket now, for the tickets now. So we should be able to head into the concert soon. So Seth was or is paying for the tickets now. So the word now will give us the indication if it is either present progressive tense, past progressive tense, or future progressive tense, right? So Seth was or is paying for the tickets now. So we should be able to head into the concert soon. All right, so this gives an indication that it is the present progressive tense, right? So which means that we can say Seth is paying for the tickets now. So we should be able to head into the concert soon, right? So is shows the present, something that is happening now in the present progressive tense, right? All right, so during my art class later tonight, so later tonight, right? Is it I will be or I was working on a sketch for my first oil painting? So during my art class later tonight, I will be or I was working on a sketch for my first oil painting, right? So the words, if we look at the words later tonight, right? Later tonight already gives us an indication that it is showing ongoing action in the future, right? So future progressive tense, which shows the ongoing action happening in the future, right? Which means that later on she will be, right? So we're going to say, during my art class later tonight, I will be, because it's going to happen later on, I will be working on a sketch for my first oil painting. Will be, because it's going to happen later tonight. It must still happening. It will still happen tonight, right? Which shows the future progressive tense. All right. The bonfire was blazing brightly now, is blazing now, but we'll need more wood if we want to keep it going all night. So the bonfire was or is blazing right now, but we'll need more wood if we want to keep it going all night. So it's blazing right now. So if it's blazing right now, then it's giving us or it's telling us it's in the present progressive tense, right? So present progressive tense, something that is happening right now, right? So which means that if we use the correct helping verb, then it will be is. So the bonfire is blazing right now or blazing brightly right now or now, sorry, but we'll need more wood if you want to keep it going all night, right? So is shows the ongoing action taking place now. The lawyers are working hard to prepare for the trial. Since it was starting in a few weeks or will be starting in a few weeks. So it's starting in a few weeks, right? Which means that the trial is only in a few weeks. So which means that the trial is in the future. So it will show the future progressive tense. It will show the ongoing action in the future. So which means that we will then use will be. So the lawyers are working hard to prepare for the trial since it will be starting in a few weeks. So will be gives us an indication that it is a future progressive tense, right? Because it shows the ongoing action happening in the future or will be happening in the future. All right. Okay, so that is the use of the progressive verb tenses, right? So now we are going to form the progressive verb tenses. And before we form the progressive verb tenses, let us quickly go over to our whiteboard, right? So once again, a progressive verb tense, right? We said that remember that tense is the time that the action is occurring, right? So the time that is recurring, occurring, which means that it is happening. So it can either be in the present, which is now, can be in the past, right? It happened already, or it can be in the future. It will be happening, right? So it shows the action or the time that the action is occurring or happening, right? Whether it is in the past, whether it is in the present, or in the future, right? And verbs in progressive tenses, it names the ongoing action, whether it is in the past, in the present, or whether it is in the future, right? And they are made from a form of to be, right? And the action verb, which is usually the ing at the end. So will be doing, will be going, right? So that is what they actually mean, right? So it is made from the form to be plus the action verb, which is ing at the end, right? And then we also say that progressive verb tenses, yes, it does show the time the action is occurring, whether it is in the past, whether it is in the present, or whether it is in the future, right? And progressive verb tenses shows action that is, which is in the present, was, which is in the past, or will be, which is in the future, right? In the progressive happening at the same point in time, right? So it's either that something is happening in the present, something is happening in the past, or something will be happening, right? Because we are now showing something that you will be doing in the future, right? And these verbs are formed with be or to be plus the ing word at the end, right? And then, of course, our helping verb will indicate whether it is either in the present, in the past, or it will indicate whether it is in the future tense, right? And here we have a few examples. I was working on my book report, right? So was, right? Which shows the past tense, right? And then we have our verb, which is work, but ing at the end, right? Which shows the ongoing action. Then I am designing a roller coaster for science. So am is an indication that something that is happening now, right? Something that he or she is designing now. There we have our verb plus our action verb and the ing at the end. And then I will be eating lunch at Dana's house tonight. So tonight gives us an indication that it is in the future. So will be is appropriate to use within that sentence. All right, so we have used the progressive verb tenses. So now we are going to form the progressive verb tenses. All right, and we say that the progressive tense, it describes ongoing action, right? It shows ongoing action. And it tells about something that is, that was, or something that will be happening, right? And to form the progressive tenses, we need to use a form of helping verb to be with a main verb ending in ing, right? So our helping verbs is either going to give us an indication that something is happening in the present tense, or it is happening in the past tense, or it is ongoing action that is happening in the, or will be happening in the future tense, right? So the present progressive tense, right? We see that it tells us about something that is happening right now in the present, right? At this very moment that you are doing something. And it uses a present tense form of the helping verb, which is to be. So we can even say is, am, or are, right? So is, the helping verb is, am, or are, it basically gives us indication that it is the present progressive tense that shows that something is happening right now, right? For example, we said Julie is playing basketball right now, right? That shows the present progressive tense, something that is happening right now. Then we have the past progressive tense, which tells us that something is happening in the past, right? In the past, it happened already, right? Something that is happening in the past. It uses a past tense form of the helping verb to be, which is was or were. I remember we said that was is mainly used in a singular form, singular person, either doing the action, and were is when it's a plural form, where more than one person is doing the action, right? So in this case, Seth was talking to Mrs. Jones when the phone rang. So Seth is alone, one person, right? Which means that we're going to use was, right? Because it shows a singular form, right? And that is in the past progressive tense. Then we have the future progressive tense, which tells about something that will be happening in the future, right? It will be happening in the future. And it uses the future tense form of the helping verb to be, which is will be, right? So that will basically gives us indication or shows the ongoing action in the future. Example, Karen will be visiting next June, right? So will be showing ongoing action in the future. All right. We need to complete the sentence with the present progressive form of verb, right? So Ava learn how to play the guitar, right? We need to choose the correct present progressive tense, or the helping verb to show the present progressive tense, right? Something that is happening right now, right? So we can then say is Ava learn how to play the guitar, right? So we can say Ava is, right, learning how to play the guitar. So we say Ava is. So even the verb changes by adding ing, learning to play the guitar, right? So it shows ongoing action happening in the present. It is happening now, right? So Ava is. So the word is it shows the helping verb, and learn, we add the ing to show the ongoing action, right? So Ava is learning to play the guitar, right? And that shows the present progressive tense. All right. The sponge absorb all the liquid, right? So the sponge absorb all the liquid. So if we are using or completing the sentence in the present progressive form of tense, we will say, you to rewrite by saying the sponge is absorbing all the liquid, right? So the sponge is, right? That's the helping verb. Absorbing by adding the ing to our verb, right? So the helping verb is, and we added the ing to our verb, right? And basically changed from absorb to absorbing. So the sponge is absorbing all the liquid, and that shows the present progressive tense. And then we have Kathleen tie a ribbon in my hair. So Kathleen tie a ribbon in my hair. So if we were to show the present or complete the sentence in the present progressive tense, we will rewrite that sentence by saying Kathleen is tying a ribbon in my hair. Right? So is tying. So is the helping verb that is helping the verb. You see, we even changed the verb from tie to tying by adding the ing. So Kathleen is tying a ribbon in my hair. And that shows the present progressive form of verb tense. It shows us or tells us that something is happening right now, right? Within the present tense. Now. And we use the helping verb is. Kathleen is tying a ribbon in my hair, which is right now. And that shows us the present progressive tense. All right, let's go to our test when it comes to forming the progressive verb tenses, right? All right, so now it says that we need to complete the sentence with the progressive or with the present progressive form of the verb. So my older sister apply. So the verb is apply, right? So the verb is apply. We need to basically add the helping verb, and then we're also changing the verb, right? So my older sister applied to several colleges. Is it apply, which is our present progressive verb or form or tense? Is it is applying or will be applying, right? We need to complete the sentence with the present progressive form of the verb. Present, that is happening now. All right, so we will say my older sister is applying to several colleges. So is applying, which means that she's doing it in the present tense or in the present tense. So if you said applying, is applying, then well done. Kathleen tie a ribbon and my hair, right? So complete the present progressive form of the verb. So tie. Is it tie a ribbon in my hair? Is tying a ribbon in my hair, or will be tying a ribbon in my hair, right? All right. So which means that if we see, we need to say it in the, basically write it in the present progressive form of verb tense, then we can say is tying, right? So is tying. So Kathleen is tying a ribbon in my hair. So is tying. So if you have that, then well done. All right, so we need to complete the sentence with the future progressive form of verb. Future progressive form of the verb, right? The noisy construction, right? Stop in a few hours. Is it stop, is stopping, or will be stopping? We need to complete the sentence with the future progressive form of verb tense. Stop, is stopping, or will be stopping. We need to choose the correct form of the future progressive form of verb, right? So if we use the future progressive form of verb tense, then we will say will be stopping. So will be. So well done for will be. So will be is correct. So will be stopping in a few hours. And that shows the future progressive form of the verb. So will be stopping is totally correct. Kelsey coiled the rope around the pole. Is it coil? We need to complete the sentence with the present progressive form of verb tense. Present. Is it coil, is coiling, or will be coiling? The present progressive form of the verb. Kelsey, coil, is coiling, or will be coiling the rope around the pole. All right, so is coiling, right? And is coiling is correct. So well done. So is coiling is correct because is coiling shows the present progressive form of the verb. So well done. So is coiling is correct. Have you heard that glaciers in Peru melt? So is it melt? So we need to complete the sentence with the present progressive form of the verb. Present progressive. So which means that is it melt, are melting, or is melting? Have you heard that glaciers in Peru are melting, is melting, or melt? Right? So melt. The glaciers in Peru are melting or is melting, right? So glaciers. So we will say it are melting because glaciers, it refers to more than one. And remember, we said that if something is a plural form, right? And then we either use am, there's are, right? And is basically just shows the when there's, for example, a what's the word? Singular form, right? A singular form. Let's do one more. Complete the sentence with the past progressive form of the verb. Uncle Daryl teach us how to fish. Is it teach, will be teaching, or was teaching us how to fish? So Uncle Daryl teach us how to fish. We need to complete the sentence with the past progressive form of the verb. Is it teach, will be teaching, or was teaching? In the past. So if it's a past progressive form of the verb, then we can say was teaching, right? So Uncle Daryl was teaching us how to fish. So was teaching is correct. So well done. And you will do the rest on your own, right? So that is basically the progressive verb tenses, right? So we spoke about in this chapter progressive verb tenses. We went over the lessons of use the progressive verb tense as well as to form the progressive verb tenses. And we said that progressive verb tenses, right? It is the tense that is showing the time that the action is occurring. It is showing the time that the action is occurring, whether it is in the past, whether it is in the present, or whether it is in the future, right? And verbs in the progressive tenses, right? It names the ongoing action. So it names the ongoing action, right? And they are then made from a form which is to be plus the action verb which ends with ing, right? And we use words like was coiling, is coiling, am coiling, for example, teaching, is teaching, was melting, am melting, right? That is but a few examples of the tests that we did, right? All right. So now we're going to do an activity. So it says we need to circle the action verb and write whether it is past, whether it is present, or whether it is future, right? So the first one is done for us. Lila or Lila blew her nose, right? So the word blew, right? The verb blew, it shows the past tense, or blew for blow, it's past tense. Phoebe likes movies, right? So if we identify the word likes, right? Is that in the past, in the present, or in the future? She likes movies, right? So likes shows that she likes it now. So we can say it's present. We will watch a movie. Will watch a movie. So we'll watch a movie. It basically, yeah, we have will watch, and that shows the future. It must still happen, right? Ongoing action in the future, it must still happen. You will be late. You will be late. So will be, right? You will be late. It shows the future. So you will be late for whatever. The meeting, for the interview, for class or something, right? Jean enjoyed this book. Enjoyed. And the word enjoyed, it shows the past. Because it is the past of enjoy. Enjoy meaning now. So that is but a few examples of the past, present, or the future, where we had to circle the verb and write whether it is past, present, or future, right? And remember, we once again said that progressive verb tenses, right? Remember that the tense is the time that the action is occurring, whether it is in the past, in the present, or whether it is in the future, right? And then it either ends in I, in G. A verb ends in I, in G with the helping verb that either shows present, past, or it shows the future. All right, so grade five, that is now the end of our lesson on progressive verb tenses. Thank you very much for logging in. Thank you very much for being interactive. And I really hope that you're going to have an amazing evening further. Good night.